We are now joined by UFC lightweight Alexander Munoz. Alexander, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press, so our line is open.
Hey Alex, my first question, your season of Contender Series, you got the win in probably the most anticipated main event of that season. Can you just explain, just you obviously got all that attention, but not getting the contract and just those emotions that happened?
Yeah, so that was a little tough, not getting the contract. But I went out there, I fought on a torn ACL, and I learned a lot from that fight. I overcame a lot in that fight, and it's something that I've been able to carry with me into my other fights and into my training and my mentality towards fighting. So I knew I'd get another shot to get back in the UFC. I knew that wasn't my last chance. At the end of the day, it wasn't a loss. It was still a win for me. So you just got to keep moving forward. You can't sit and dwell on what everything that didn't go right. You got to kind of have a short memory when it comes to that stuff if you want to make it in this sport. And you got to focus on the things that do go right and make sure that that's what dominates your attention.
I mean, after the fight with Nick Newell, can you expand on it a little bit? Just you get back to the gym at home. What were the conversations like to just get back on the bike and then go win that title over in Trinity Kings recently?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much to it. You just gotta, like I said, you gotta put it behind you, and you just gotta move forward. It wasn't a loss. If anything, it was more just figuring out, how to come back from that torn ACL. I wasn't the Nick Newell fight was the last thing on my mind at that point. It was a win. I proved a lot to myself. I fought a very tough opponent on a blown out knee, and I think that for me was the thing to focus on, and then what do I do to come back from that ACL surgery, a surgery that used to be something that you don't come back from as an athlete, but now with science where it's at and the surgery has come so far, and you've seen a lot of different athletes come back from this. Um, I just had to take it literally one step at a time, and made a lot of big gains at having to slow down my style. I'm a very explosive fighter. I rely on that, and because of that, I used to get away with a lot of bad techniques. And having the torn ACL kind of forced me to slow things down and really learn how to do things the right way. And then by the time I did get my full strength and full speed back, and now a healthy knee that's, I mean, crazy strong that I believe in and really trust, I'm a more complete fighter because of it.
I mean, what kind of fighter can we expect to see? Do you think that you've changed it up? Do you think we're going to see a guy drastically different than the one we saw against Nick last year that I think everyone's familiar with?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Every time you see me, I'm going to be different. Week to week, I'm different. Um, I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly evolving my game. I'm constantly trying to learn all the ins and outs of striking and of the jiu-jitsu and wrestling and wrestling as it applies to MMA, I think that I'm a great wrestler, but I think that I'm a much better MMA wrestler. And I think that where I really shine is when I get to blend everything together, when I get to um, add in the striking with the shots and the jiu-jitsu. When it all comes together, that's when the magic happens.
Final question. You're fighting a guy who's been in the UFC for a minute in Nasrat. I mean, what does this guy bring that you got to watch out for?
Obviously, he's a heavy hitter, um, and that's what we got to watch out for. We gotta move well. We got to watch out for his power. Um, but man, he's a great striker, and that's all I do is I train with great strikers. I'm out at CSA gym with Kieran Fitzgibbons and all of his, Muay Thai world champions and these incredible strikers that I'm training with day in and day out. And I'm at, um, and then back home we have Michael Malott and Joey Rodriguez, and who are also great striking coaches who have really helped tweak and transform my game. so that I can stand with anybody in the UFC. I'm not afraid to stand with. I'm already at Team Alpha Male and at CSA striking with the best strikers in the world. So it's like a lot of people are putting all this emphasis. Oh, you got to go against a great striker. Well, shit, that's what I do every day. So it's nothing new.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Damon Martin with MMA Fighting. Your line is open.
Alex, it's been mentioned, of course, what you did on the Contender Series and then dealing with the ACL and then being on looking for a fight. You've had kind of one of the most untraditional routes to get to the UFC, and then you had the injury that prevented you to fight from February. Can you give me an idea of the emotion and just the anticipation to finally step into that octagon on Saturday night?
Man, well, I got to say, it's been a long time coming. I'm really excited to get in there. One thing that I've gotten much better at is dealing with the emotions, is dealing with the nerves that come along with fighting, is dealing with, all of these mixed feelings that I used to have whenever I fought. Now it's just like, this is what I love to do. I love to fight. I love to beat people up. I love to prove that I'm the greatest, that, the best person in my division and the best person in any room I step into. I try to bring that out and I'm just trying to be the best fighter that I can be. So dealing with these emotions and being able to, and by best fighter, I don't necessarily mean like I'm going in and I'm winning every single day. But like just making small improvements in my game, making sure that I'm coming in and I'm making small gains here and there, and it's coming together to make me a complete fighter. And that dealing with all the stress that comes along with fighting, remembering that this is fun. It's not something that I have to do, and something that I got to kind of. I'm not like I don't drag ass into the gym. It's not something like I got to grind through this workout. I wake up and I'm excited to train. I'm thinking, all right, I get to go to the gym and I get to hang out with my friends, and we get to play around and play with new ideas and be creative and open up and do new things. And I have training partners that I trust, and at the end of practice, we get to give each other feedback. And I'm getting feedback. And a big reason that I went to Team Alpha Male and CSA Gym is not only because of the coaching, and it's not only because of Uriah Faber, who is a big part of the reason I went there, but it's because of the training partners that I get, the minds I get to work with every day. I get just as much knowledge from them as I do from my coaches. So I think that just being able to be around these guys and take what I can from their experiences has really helped. And then I've been active. I haven't just been sitting around waiting for my next fight. I'm training every single day. I'm doing something to work and get closer to my goals. And then I'm also cornering guys in the UFC. I'm cornering guys in Bellator. I'm cornering guys in this organization. Like I'm constantly on the move and doing things. So when I am at these UFC events, I'm not just getting these guys ready, but I'm also getting myself ready. I'm visualizing myself in their shoes when they do their media, when they take their pictures, when they are getting warmed up in the back, when they're making their walkout. I'm doing everything I can to make sure they're ready, but also at the same time, I'm visualizing myself there in their position. So I'm getting those reps and I'm getting that experience that I think is going to translate to the big picture, which is fighting on Saturday night.
Absolutely. You mentioned, of course, the anticipation, the build of getting here, but going back to your Nick Newell fight, I mean, going into that fight, you knew the attention that was going to be paid on that fight, and you went out and had a great performance that night and won. This is your UFC debut, and we hear all the time about octagon jitters and the nerves and things like that. But do you feel like having gone through that Contender Series experience where there were a lot of eyeballs on that fight, it wasn't in the UFC, but it felt like a UFC fight. Do you feel like that will help you, when you get that first time into the cage, that first exchange? Because we have heard a million times where guys do get nervous in that first fight.
Yeah, absolutely. You can never guess exactly how you're going to feel on fight night. But what I can tell you is every single time I fight, I'm dealing with the nerves better. I'm feeling more comfortable. Even my last fight, whenever, I try to make my fight day as close as I can to my spar days. And on my spar days, I'm not we're sparring in the gym, we're sparring hard against really, really tough fighters. I'm in there with Josh Emmett. I'm in there with Andre Fili. I'm in there with Gaston Bolaños and Eddie Absolo, and these guys who are the best of the best at the top of their game. And I'm not stressed out before I go fight them. We're laughing, we're having fun, we're enjoying ourselves, and then I go out and we spar hard, and it's fun. I have fun while I'm doing it. So I try to replicate that on fight night. I bring my coaches that I love to be around. I got Mike Malott here with me. I got Uriah Faber here with me. I got Kieran Fitzgibbons here with me. And it's always a joy to be around them in the gym, and it's always a joy to be around them when I'm cutting my weight and when we get to the arena and when we're moving around backstage. I just try to really make it as close to that spar day feel as I can on fight night. So when I get there, even my last fight, for instance, when my opponent's music came on, usually that's like a trigger, like, oh, my nerves start going. His music came on and I started like vibing to it and moving and like just feeling really good and happy and excited. And it wasn't so much like this nervous tension that I would expect to feel. And I think that shows a lot of growth as far as, where I'm at mentally now versus where I was when I started this game.
And my last question, you mentioned, of course, training out at Team Alpha Male, a phenomenal team out there in Sacramento, but Uriah Faber being one of your coaches. I've heard from a lot of guys, Andre Fili's a big one, of course, talked about what an influence Uriah has been on his career and as a coach and as a friend. So as you get ready to make your debut, he's going to be in your corner. What has been Uriah's influence on you, and what maybe has been his best advice, maybe leading into this fight or as you debut in the UFC, because this is the moment where you kind of start that next phase of your career.
Yeah, so as far as Uriah goes, I didn't just come to Team Alpha Male because Uriah is a great fighter. Obviously, he's a great mind to have in my corner as far as MMA experience. There's really nobody that you can trust more. He's had almost 50 fights in the UFC, or period. But what I really liked about Uriah is the fact that he isn't just a fighter. He's found a way to really grow and grow himself and his brand outside of MMA. He's great at marketing himself. He's great at making money and having multiple revenues of income. And just from a fighting standpoint, from a business standpoint, from life standpoint, how to deal with the people around you and the people you love and the people you care about. He's just a great source of knowledge for all of that stuff. So that's a big reason. That's honestly one of the very main reasons that I came to Team Alpha Male, was so I could pick his brain. And I wasn't expecting him to take such a big role in my life, but he's kind of one of those guys that the more you're around him, like his energy's contagious, and he's become one of my best friends. And now, I'm able to learn from him, not only as athlete, but kind of as a brother. And like I feel like we're, family now. So it's great to have that in the mix with my team.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. You're all good to go.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.